All right, what's going on, YouTube? It is Brandy and Dre here.
Yes.
And we are coming to you today because we want to give you 6 key steps in your relocation process, wherever you're relocating to. If you're relocating to Dallas, that's what we are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or if you're relocating to any state, these are things that you need to do to help with your relocation process.
Yes.
All right?
And listen, guys, we have relocated. I don't know how many times I relocated, but I relocated a lot. I know
I only took one relocation. I made a huge relocation from up north, from Wisconsin, and I relocated to Texas about 13 years ago. And so the stuff that we're talking, it's been some time. I'm almost a native, okay? But yeah, so I think the things that we came up with are things that really helped us in our relocation. And as realtors, I think it also helps for other people who are looking, you know, the being a realtor kind of helps even more, right?
Yes.
So
the first step to relocation is getting you a job. You don't want to move to a state and you ain't got no job or you ain't got no money. You know, and this is like this is a big red flag, not to only mortgage lenders, but to apartment complexes. Nowadays, a lot of apartment complexes require you to make 3 times the monthly rent, and they want proof that you make that rent. So even if you have like a job offer or offer letter, they're going to reach out to your current employer just to make sure that offer is valid, and then they're also going to if you don't have a job offer, well, I think most of the time they're just gonna have a job offer. So
they take a job offer. If you got a job or something from your human resources that said you start work on this day and this is your salary, what you're gonna make, and the projected amount of hours you're gonna work, they'll take that too. But a lot of times, you guys, they won't even let you get an apartment without having a job. I moved here without a job, but I had a huge savings, and I thought, well, it'll be okay because I got the money. I don't need the job. I got the money. Well, that didn't matter. Even if I tried to even pay the year lease off, right? They're not risking anything if I pay the whole lease off, right? Nope, they needed a job.
So please
know that in order to get a lot of these apartments, if you're coming to look for an apartment first versus buying right away, you're gonna need a job. And then you also need a job because the DFW is huge. And that kind of will help narrow down where you want to live, because some people don't want to drive 45 minutes to an hour to work.
And it really helps the apartment locator, if you're working with an apartment locator or a realtor, really help narrow down what area is going to be the best for you, because ultimately we just want to make your life easier when you move here.
Yes. And then you have to know, what are you willing to do? Do you want to are you okay with driving 45 minutes to work, or do you want to drive 10 minutes to work? That's something you need to kind of know. So have a job, because that kind of gives you an idea where to narrow it down. Okay. So next we said, know your why. Why are you relocating? Whatever, wherever, why? You got to know your why. You know,
and it could be for the food, for the lifestyle, or you might think that, you know, Texas is affordable because what you heard, or you like the weather. I mean, there might be so many different reasons. Your job is relocated, your spouse is actually from the area, and you have to move to the area. That kind of happened to me. My wife is from Fort Worth and her family is from Fort Worth, so I ended up moving to Fort Worth, but I fell in love with Texas before I actually lived in Fort Worth. So it was a fair trade for me.
Yeah, you just got to know your why. For me, Texas was just big, extravagant place with a whole lot of opportunity, and I was like, I want to go. And it was everything that I thought it was. I love it, but that was my why. And I always say, know your why, because it may not always be easy. Getting here, it's very spread out. You're driving far. The culture is very different. The food is very different. The atmosphere is very different. Hell, that heat is very different if you ain't used to that heat. You know, and even our winters are very different. So if you know your why, when things get bad, it'll help you stay tuned and in tune with your purpose of being here, so you don't give up and end up moving somewhere else right after you got here. So know your why, right? All right, our number 3 reason of the 6 steps into moving or relocating is do your research.
Yes, research is so important. What do we have to say about research?
So you want to kind of know, again, when you move into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that's where we are. We're going to speak. One thing that was different for me, Dallas-Fort Worth, they have different ISDs. So
Yes.
ISDs are independent school districts. So if you have kids, do your research. What does this school rank amongst the highest in not just that community, not just that subsidy, not just that city, but in the state, in North Texas, in wherever, because the ranking can be high. Well, if it's only one high school in that ISD, then of course that ranking is high. So where does it rank amongst others in that area, in that city, in that state? Do your research, right?
Also, when determining your why, seeing if like whatever area that you're considering to move to is going to have all those, must-haves and must-wants that you want in your why. Do your research. Also making sure that you are in a correct driving distance, or that you want to be from your job. Or
that's doing your research, knowing how far your house is from your job, knowing where you want to live, how far that is from common areas, restaurants, hotels, hospitals, museums, anything like parks, zoos, whatever is important to you. Do your research so you can kind of get in that area. See if it's a new area or an upcoming area, or if it's an older area. Do your research. Taxes. How much are the taxes in that area?
Is the risk versus is the risk?
Is the reward?
Is the reward? Wow. Fuck.
That's okay.
I'm gonna keep this, but the reward worth the risk.
Yep. Knowing your why and doing your research.
A lot of people don't know this, but the taxes and the property taxes in Texas are a lot higher than the national average. So, although it's cheaper to buy a house in Texas, I mean, even now it's probably not even that cheap because house prices are increasing.
Yep.
But you might be paying an additional $700 a month, or even more in property taxes. So your $1,500 or $1,700 mortgage just went to $2,500 just because of taxes. So you might, like I said, just do your research. Determine that before you're completely sold on moving to Texas. And this is not to deter you from anything, but it's just to keep you knowledgeable so that way you're making an educated decision before you move.
Do your due diligence. You want to look to see how many major companies are in your area, because if you want to switch your jobs, know if your field is a high field in that state. We're in a state where it's always hot, so construction is a high field here. So those are things that you need to know. Is it a high demand for the career that you're moving here for? Not just the schools in the areas, but kind of know as far as the banks in that area.
Was Navy Federal?
I mean, seriously, because
I got Navy Federal, and it's like only a few in the DFW. So you know
your research, the banks that you bank with, the organizations that you're a part of. See if those organizations are active in your community, in your area. Kind of see if if it's important, if that community is diverse. Kind of look to see what the diversity level looks like. So when you are looking, you kind of know what that mix looks like. Kind of do your research to see the crime. As realtors, some of those questions are things that we can't answer. So when you reach out to an agent, we can't tell you. It's not that we don't want to. By law, we can't. So do your research. See what that crime stacks up to be, because everybody always says, I kid you not, I want a safe neighborhood.
And what does that really mean?
And
I can give y'all a personal experience. Something that happened a few weeks ago. My in-laws, they live in a very safe neighborhood, so I thought, and my wife's car got jacked in at the middle of the night. So, what is a safe neighborhood? Crime isn't guaranteed. So, although, it's in a less crime area, it's still guaranteed. It happens everywhere.
So do your research. There are websites you can look up. There are neighborhood in Texas. I can tell you there are a lot of communities that on the Nextdoor app you can look, and there's so many communities, because a lot of our subdivisions, we call them, they have names, and a lot of those subdivisions, they have a community network in that subdivision.
Sometimes I know in these master plan communities, like the poles have cameras on them. So
just kind of, again, do your research. Always do your research. Do your due diligence. This is where you're going to live. This is where you're going to relocate to. It's your job to kind of know what you don't know, right?
Yes.
All right. And the next one is decide whether you're going to rent or buy.
Yes, a big question. So
as agents, we kind of navigate, I would say, towards the people that are looking to buy. That doesn't mean that we don't help with renters, because a lot of real estate agents, I help with renters. We have a program, our relocation program also helps with renters. But just know, kind of, if you're going to rent or buy, don't go with what people say for the trend. Kind of, again, that goes back to doing your own research. Everybody says it's a seller's market. They're
sometimes
scared.
research means just reaching out to a real estate agent,
Yeah,
you know,
and
just seeing
asking
what them.
questions.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, you may have your mind on renting just because you think that you can't afford a house, or you're not qualified. You know, reach out to an agent. You know, if you buying a house is something that you think is achievable, reach out to us and we can connect you with a mortgage lender or something, to see how far-fetched that goal is, or see how close it is for it to come to fruition. So,
and then ask, that goes back with your why. Know why you want to rent or buy.
Yes.
Because sometimes you think it may be more feasible to do one versus the other, but you just kind of want to know. You know, I say consider all of the things with your why. If you have kids and you don't want to uproot them from different schools to different schools, then maybe you don't want to rent. You want to buy and get settled in the neighborhood. But if you're not married to any area and you want to kind of shop around and discover different areas, maybe it's more important for you to rent until you kind of figure out where you want to make home. So just know your why and reach out and research and ask questions.
yes.
And then number 5 on our list is reaching out. We just said reach out to an agent. We are very knowledgeable agents. We work with a bunch of very knowledgeable agents. If we can't help or direct you, because
we know somebody
someone that can, and we're talking about the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but we're licensed all in Texas. And we know agents in Austin. Austin is a very booming area. In San Antonio, in Houston, in El Paso, in the Panhandle, in all those areas. So don't just be afraid because we're saying Dallas-Fort Worth. That doesn't mean that we don't have connects all over. Real estate agents are a good bridge to network for all things. So reach out to an agent. Reach out to an agent.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out. We're normal people. We're, as you can see, we're cool. You know, I think we're cool. You know, we're just, you know, normal people just trying to make a living. So you know, we really want to help y'all make it a smooth move and relocate, and to make it easy as possible. We know how it is, and we just want to make it easy for you. So reach out.
Right. And I'm gonna add another relocation step is knowing how to say y'all. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. And number 6 is last, but make that move. If you've been thinking about relocating and God done said it's time for you to go, and you know it's time for you to go, and you want something different for you, your family, your spouse, whatever, go ahead and make that move. You got this. You can do it. Get with one of us, make a call, and you got this. We'll help, we'll assist. Take that leap and make that move. All right, you guys, don't forget to subscribe.
If you have any questions, drop a comment, and then if you're looking to move, reach out.
Reach out. And don't forget, my name is Brandy Vaughn, the realtor, and this is Dre.
Yes, thank y'all.